Well, thank you very much, President Hatch. And Jenny, thank you for your exhortation to the people here tonight. And I would just ask, after hearing all these accomplishments of Ron, whether you go to synagogue, temple, or church, please remember to pray for the Curry family, as Jenny asked during her comments. This is a very, very special night. So far, it's been pretty easy to be athletic director at Wake Forest. I just go to a lot of grand openings and celebratory parties and winning football games. So thank you very much, Ron, for just setting the table. I would also mention that the last 27 years have included enormous expansion of opportunities for women in athletics at Wake Forest. Thanks to Ron's leadership, and Diane Daly is here as well, and certainly President Hatch and the Board of Trustees. And I was prompted by that because I was checking the volleyball score, which is one of the teams that did not exist at Wake Forest when Ron came. And we're currently down one set to Notre Dame right over there, but we have a lead in the fourth set to hopefully tie it up and go to the fifth set. So there we have it. Certainly, President Hatch and Julie, Mary Lawrence and I are incredibly grateful for the opportunity you have given us to come home and rejoin the Wake Forest team. To follow my mentor, the person who gave me my first job, is a surreal feeling. And I'm really specific, actually, though, when I say that I'm following Ron Wellman as athletics director. It is simply not possible for any one person to fill his proverbial shoes. Rather, we are building on the legacy he has created for Wake Forest athletics. Speaking of legacies, as I look out in this room, it occurred to me that when the book of history of the Atlantic Coast Conference is written, recognizing the 10 or 15 most influential people in the history of that conference, we will remember this night that 4 of them were in the room at the same time. And they are President Hatch, of course, Dr. Gene Hooks with his new wife, Sarah, athletic director for 28 years, and certainly guiding the Atlantic Coast Conference and Wake Forest through an incredible time of growth and expansion. The future has never been brighter for the Atlantic Coast Conference under the leadership of our commissioner, John Swafford, and Nora, right back here. Please give them a warm round of applause. And if you're a Comcast subscriber, keep calling Comcast. They're going to switch. Everybody else has. So last night, this legacy of Ron Wellman was represented in another incredible way. With some devious assistance from Linda, we welcomed Ron to a surprise event in his honor, featuring all 11 current Division I athletics directors who have worked for and were mentored under Ron at Wake Forest and Illinois State. If you go back to that last picture, Ron was a bit surprised when he walked into the room. Fortunately, he's in excellent cardiovascular shape, and he was able to continue into the room of athletic directors. And so there are 11 Division I athletics directors. And in fact, in the video that is to follow that was taped a few weeks ago, I actually said 10 because I forgot to count myself. So there's 11, and they're all pretty busy, and they all came last night to Winston-Salem from all over the country to honor Ron. He was plenty surprised. We told a lot of stories. We gave some toasts, and we laughed for about 4 hours at least. We're not going to be doing 4 hours tonight. We're going to roll out sooner than that. Ron Wellman taught all this group how to be a professional, to operate with unfailing integrity, and to always prioritize the well-being of our student athletes. Ron and Linda's impact on college athletics will continue to multiply for generations to come as the branches of the Wellman tree spread. So most of the folks in this room know Ron as an administrator, mentor, or friend. But tonight, there are also men, as has been referenced, 11 men who call him coach, who played baseball under Ron at Northwestern. In a few minutes, we will welcome John Troutwine to the stage for a special announcement. John was the captain of the most successful baseball team in Northwestern history, the 1984 squad, coached, of course, by Ron Wellman. John and Ron developed an enduring bond at Northwestern, and this special group of teammates has remained close with Ron and Linda throughout the years. In 2010, John and his wife Susie tragically lost their son Will, but they have turned their pain into a proactive effort to help promote awareness and education about mental illness and teen suicide through their Will to Live Foundation. At Ron's invitation in 2018, John visited Wake Forest and the Winston-Salem community. He made a lasting impression, educating the community about mental health and suicide prevention while sharing his message of love and hope. That visit set in motion a concerted effort led by the Will to Live Foundation, which today has culminated with the special announcement that a comprehensive Signs of Suicide, SOS, program is being implemented in every middle and high school in Forsyth County. Thank you, John. As John makes his way to the podium to share more about the Will to Live Foundation and make another special announcement, please turn your attention to the video screens. Thank you.
I had the good fortune of being chairman of the search committee for a new athletic director when Gene Hooks retired, and I rather immediately concluded that the right person for us was Ron Wellman.
The value system of my dad and Wake Forest, I think, just meshed together really well.
He's honest, he has integrity, he's pro humanitate, in every aspect.
And I think that's one of the reasons why he was here so long and that Wake Forest allowed him to be here so long.
Ron knew the college athletics business, it was no question. Ron had a wonderful range of contacts across the NCAA, and people so greatly respected him.
He stands for everything that's good in college athletics, and he lives it.
He knew what it took to be a smaller institution within the Power Conference, but he never used that as an excuse. He's like, there's no such thing as underdog. We have every opportunity that a big school would have, so don't play a numbers game, just compete.
If you look at the record of his teams since he's been here, you should be impressed by the number of athletic teams that have had a great success under his leadership.
Had some great times with winning the ACC championship in football, going to the Orange Bowl.
And his goal was to take young people, often who would not have had a scholarship otherwise, to a place like Wake Forest, and really use this as an occasion so that their life would be different.
He hired wonderful people, coaches and staff.
There wasn't a question as to the ethics and how we would conduct ourselves.
I think when Ron came to Wake Forest, facilities were probably underwhelming, didn't reflect what Wake Forest was all about.
He's done a phenomenal job, he and his staff, of raising money to enable our students to have the best facilities they can have. When people look at a school like Wake Forest that has such a small enrollment, we can compete with the Ohio States and the Texases of the world because of his vision and of what he knew we could do.
He cares about people.
I remember when Skip Prosser passed away and the entire campus was in mourning.
And Ron delivered this message to the department that you could tell he was leaning on his faith.
And he led us through that with great kindness and sensitivity to the community as well as to Coach Prosser's family.
His legacy is that he left us is tremendous.
There's currently 10 Division I athletic directors who worked under Ron Wellman. All of us carry the sense of ethics and responsibility to protect and enhance the experience of our student athletes, to protect the integrity of our institutions, and continue to ensure that intercollegiate athletics brings people together. I feel completely the incredible responsibility to continue to move Wake Forest athletics forward, building on the incredible foundation that Ron Wellman has established here.
Your God, your family, your school, baseball. I was 20 years old when a young 31-year-old Ron Wellman walked into Northwestern's baseball locker room, and that's what he said to us. What I heard and what I learned over those years was your God, your family, your teammates. My name is John Troutwine. John, thank you for the nice introduction. Truly an honor to be here tonight for several reasons that are just so amazing to me. I was a sophomore at Northwestern. Our freshman year, our baseball team was really bad. We were 13-37. We were awful. We were at Northwestern. That's an academic school. You're not supposed to be good at sports. It actually enhances your academic reputation when you're bad at sports. That's what the newspaper said in Evanston. This young man, this 31-year handsome young man, comes in with a briefcase, and he was dressed really nice. And he said, "We're going to turn this program around." And he changed our lives. He was a psycho. It was unlike anything I ever had to go through. It was awesome. He taught us to expect to win. He told us that student athletes are student athletes. He taught us to expect the best out of ourselves, and he demanded it. And he just moved us, and he inspired us, and we wanted to be like him. And he ran us to death. We would wake up at night thinking, how much is he going to run us today? But while he was doing this, we were creating this bond. And we saw this guy who was so organized. And those of you who work for him now or have worked for him over the years know the power of the Wellman itineraries. He had itineraries for our baseball practice. 3 o'clock to 3:10, pitchers are going to do this, hitters are going to do this, outfielders 3:10 to 3:20. He had it down to the second. And it was organized, and it was well thought out, and it was impressive. And he was a psycho. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I heard he has 3 young daughters. And they're like 5, 3, and 1. And we're like, what are these poor girls? Do they have to run before dinner? And we were really worried about him. But then this pretty young lady and these 3 gorgeous girls come to our practice, and we meet him, and Ron hugs his daughters, and he hugs his wife, and we're like, wow, he's human. And it was nice. And we wanted to be like him in so many ways. He had this, I call it like non-negotiables, where he just never gave in to his beliefs and his approach to everything. And that concept of your God and your family was just so strong. And it inspired us to see you girls grow up. And I got to see, I don't know how old you guys were. We were like 6 years old, maybe. Angie, you might have been 6 or 7 at that point. And over those 4 years we were together, I saw Ron, this gentle man with his family, was the same guy who was so businesslike and so determined to create fine young men. And tonight, and I guess about a month ago when we knew this was going to happen, I sent an email out to about 50 of my old friends and teammates at Northwestern. I got a response from every single one of them. We're all dads now. We're all in our late 50s or mid 50s, and we have things going on, and so many emails came back. Oh, John, hug Ron for me. Tell him thanks. And the 10 or 11 of us that are here, if you guys could stand up right now, I'd appreciate it. Ron told us and taught us the power of teammates. And during his tenure, like I said, when he came in the summer between my freshman and sophomore year, we were really bad. When I graduated my senior year, we were 20th in the nation and second in the Big Ten by 1 run. That just doesn't happen, guys. Ron turned a program around by inspiring young men to trust in each other. And when you go through something like that and you have that kind of success, these bonds form that are unbreakable. And I don't remember the scores. I remember a couple home runs that I gave up. But I don't really remember the scores. I remember you guys. And today, we met in the lobby of our hotel at 5:45, and we almost didn't make it here tonight. Because we were telling Ron stories, and it was great. Ron, we talked to our kids about you. We talked to our kids about each other. And the wonderful experience we had. And the way that you treated Linda, and the way that Linda treated you, and the way that you were so family-oriented, yet so successful and so driven and commanded excellence. And you taught us to, you taught us to be better, but most importantly, you taught us to love each other. And they say a good coach has the capacity to love his players. I say a great coach shows it. Ron was one of the toughest coaches I ever had, but he's one of the few that get a Christmas card from me because I knew that he loved me, and he truly rejoiced when I did well. He truly wanted to see his players succeed, and that's just such a great trait. And yes, he wanted to win, but he wanted to create fine young men, and he did. And I look at these guys that I haven't seen in so long, and we have this bond that my dad used to say, think of all the poor slobs that never got to sit in a dugout. Whether they played or not, that concept of being on a team and experiencing the early morning practices and the late night practices and the tough games and the crazy bus rides and the delays and all of these things that you do. Ron fostered this culture of loving your teammates on and off the field. And we kept that. And I know, Linda, you played such a big role in that. And I'm honored to know you guys. 9 years ago, my son took his life. He was 15. He was a freshman in high school. He was big and strong. He was wonderful. He was popular. He was successful. He was an awesome teammate. He had that quality that I just talked about. He loved it when his teammates did well. And when he died, I didn't know. I didn't know if I was going to make it. That weekend, my teammates were there for me. They told me that they loved me. They picked me up. They showed me love. They showed me hope. They illustrated something to me that would change my life. My son had depression. 1 in 6 of you have it. It's okay. It's okay to not be okay. But I didn't know that. I didn't know depression was an illness. I didn't know it was real. I didn't know that it affects 1 in 6 of the teens in your lives. I didn't know that every 2 hours a teenager takes their life in America. I didn't know that every 13 minutes an American takes their life. I didn't know any of this. Will didn't know any of this. Will didn't know that it was okay to not be okay. He didn't know that he had teammates that were also not okay. And so he never talked about it. And I remember thinking, I need to find a way to get these kids to talk about it because I didn't want others to go through what we were going through. And at Will's funeral, as I was giving the eulogy to my boy, my teammates were there. My teammates from grade school, from high school, from college, from pro ball, they were there for me. And I realized that these were my life friends. These were the ones that I went through the trenches with. These were the ones that I had the psycho coaches with. These were the ones that truly understood me. And I knew what I was going to do because I met these guys when I was Will's age, when I was a teenager. And these life friends that were groomsmen in my wedding and godfathers to my kids, these were the best friends I ever had. They understood me, and they picked me up and they carried me through. And my wife, who was an ACC athlete at Virginia, the same thing happened to her. Her teammates carried her through. And I said, we're going to create a foundation, and we're going to teach kids to recognize the love and the hope they have in their teammates. And we're going to get them to together understand that life today is really hard. And I wish that once or twice I would have said to Will, wow, this is hard. I didn't have to get straight A's to get into Northwestern. I didn't have to play on a travel team to make my high school baseball team. When I messed up, it wasn't on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. I didn't live in a world like today. Our kids have it hard. And I just once wish I would have said, wow, dude, this is brutal. You all right, man? But I was always, isn't this great? Isn't this great? Isn't this wonderful? Isn't this wonderful? And I thought I was being winning the Father of the Year award by always being positive. And I realized that Will needed somebody to say, wow, this is hard, dude. I'm struggling too. And that's what a teammate does on the field. But a life teammate does it off the field. And so we started this foundation, and I started giving these kind of speeches, and the kids grabbed it, and they grasped it, and they loved it, and they thanked me for it, because life, like baseball, is hard, and sometimes you need a teammate to get you through it. Sometimes you need a coach that creates a culture that teaches the teammates to look out for each other and be there for each other like my teammates were for me. And we created this Life Teammate Award in our hometown in Atlanta, and it's voted on by the kids. That senior athlete who is a life teammate on the field and off the field. And Ron heard me speak years later at Illinois State, and on the way home he said, I'm going to bring you to Wake Forest, and we're going to have you speak to our student athletes. And as John Curry said in 2018, I had the honor of doing that and the pleasure of doing that, and they loved it. Because it was fun for them to hear somebody say, wow, this is really hard, isn't it? You still have to do it, but it's hard, so do it together. And they grasped it. But what was really wonderful, and what I'm so impressed about this university and this athletic department, is they said they don't want me to just come give a 45-minute speech and leave. They want to be the ambassadors of mental health awareness in this community. And that press release that went out today, that every school in Forsyth County, every single middle school and high school over the next year will have a Signs of Suicide program implemented in their curriculum because of the ambitions of Wake Forest. And I'm honored to have played a role in it. And when I came back last spring, we talked about it, and we were so excited that this was going to happen in this community. And it's a good thing because people need to talk about it. And one of the coaches, Jen Averill, who's a Northwestern girl, by the way, in that meeting said, but what about my goalie? It hit me hard. What about the Wake Forest athletes? They want to hear this message again. And over the past few months, we've been trying to figure out how can we have this Life Teammates message delivered on this campus to these athletes every year. we're going to do it through the Ron Wellman Life Teammate Award. It's an award that the coaches and the adults of this community have nothing to do with. It's for the kids, it's through the kids, and it's by the kids. And every single student athlete at Wake Forest, every single team voted on that senior athlete that they believe is that life teammate. And I don't even know how many teams there are. How many teams are there? 60? 16. 16 representatives of the Life Teammate Award were then chosen by the SAC? The SAC group. So for the kids, through the kids, by the kids. And we're going to play a video now of the first two winners of the Ron Wellman Life Teammate Award. So roll video, gang.
Hi everyone, I wanted to take the time to thank you all for nominating me for the Ron Wellman Life Teammate Award. First, I want to thank Ron Wellman himself for everything that he has done for our athletic community and for the department and for all of the development of us athletes. Secondly, I'd like to thank my coaches, peers, and teammates for inspiring me to be the best teammate on and off the field. I have learned so much from you all, and those lessons have made my 4 years at Wake Forest the most memorable. Thank you again, and go Deeks.
I'm honored to be receiving the Wellman Life Teammate Award, the first one ever. Mr. Wellman, the legacy that you left on the campus here, the relationship that we were able to build in my 4 years here with you, something that I'm honored to be a part of, to be considered as a person that carries out the attributes that you lived out here during your 26 years at Wake Forest. I'm very thankful and appreciative to be a part of this.
So both of the inaugural winners of the Life Teammate Award, that was Madison Hammond from the soccer team. I think she's up in Boston playing this weekend. And Cade Carney from the football team is getting prepared for a big night tomorrow night, are the inaugural winners of the Ron Wellman Life Teammate Award. And when as a representative of the Will to Live Foundation, to know that every year a Life Teammate Award is going to be given on this campus, it honors my son. It honors every student athlete on this campus. And it honors you, Ron. I hope you're taking this all in, buddy. Because you're hating every minute of this. Don't feel you're not fooling me. But tonight, after this, all of us are coming back to your house and we're going to tell stories about you, man. Isn't that awesome? Think of all those poor slobs that never got to sit in a dugout. Ron, I could talk for a long time. I've already talked too long. You are an inspiration. You're a mentor. You're somebody that we want to be like. But I think most importantly, you're just a really, really good friend. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Ron Wellman.